Let's make sure. Yes, it's being live streamed. We know. Done. It's going to YouTube. There we are. It's being live streamed.
Oh, are you going to ask me hard questions or easy questions?
No.
I actually have a meeting with the girls tonight.
I know. I gotta meet with Color Guard after this meeting.
Are you going to ask me hard questions or easy questions?
Wait, let me turn the volume down so I'm not getting too. All right. All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So I just want to welcome anyone who's watching right now. As you should know, or as I hope you know, my name is Shawn Zachary, and I'm the founder of the National HBCU Auxiliary and Dance Directors Association. And this is installment number 2, or mini cast number 2 in our summer series. And today, and we call it a mini cast because we want to hit on some very specific topics. And we don't want to be here all night because we know you guys are busy and you got lots of things going on and things you want to do. And so we are, hitting on some quick topics that we hope will help those of you that are watching. So again, our special guest today is Miss Raniesha Franklin, and she is the Auxiliary and Dance Team Director at Langston University is it Tulsa? Are you in Tulsa?
Langston, Oklahoma.
Langston. Oh, it's got its own little city. Okay. In Langston, kind of like Grambling. Everybody's got their own little city. They're good.
Small little black town.
Little black town, great. So Langston University in Langston, Oklahoma, and I wanted to invite Raniesha to join us today to talk about what you can expect if you are a new coach, and this is either an HBCU coach or whether you are moving into the high school space, as that works with a show style team, or or you just started a community team. And as a new coach, what are some of the things that you can expect? And one of the things that we do with the association is we share. Our big thing is that we share experiences, and we try to help one another, because you just can't walk into this just knowing everything. And sometimes, somebody will say the smallest thing and you'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna try that, and you go and you try. And the job that we do as HBCU coaches is just so large and so wide and broad. Everybody knows my favorite saying is that we do 30% coaching, we do 70% other things, and the other things includes, like, we have to be mentors, and we have to be surrogate parents, and all kinds of things that we do that have absolutely nothing to do with the performance. Nothing at all. And then there's that other little 30% where we're coaching, and we're teaching and dancing and twirling the flag and twirling the baton and choreographing and working with the band director and working with the staff and all of that. Such a small amount. So, but I wanted you, Raniesha, if you could just give like a little brief introduction of yourself, and where a little bit about your background and where you're from and all that good stuff. Introduce yourself to everyone.
Sure. So yes, like Ms. Shawn said, my name is Raniesha Franklin, and I am a graduate from Langston University in 2007. I was a member of the band there as well. I began my experience in the band in the fall of 2004. And so I had the luxury of being a member of the Golden Feline Dance Line there. Danced there for 2 years under the direction of Albert Jackson. and got to perform at Honda Battle of the Bands 2 years in a row in Atlanta. Before that, I was a cheerleader. So I cheered for my collegiate team there. And it was kind of a hard decision to switch to dance because we had just won a national championship. And then I was like, I love y'all, but this looks so amazing over here. And I really wanted to try out to be a feline. And so I switched up and went that route. And it's interesting that the job is combined where I'm the director of, or the sponsor of the dance line, as well as the color guard team. Because my senior year in high school, I also did color guard. So I've been in the band since middle school. I played the flute, middle school and high school marching band. However, I came from a corps style marching band in high school. But you did too, yeah. So I have a really love for the bands, right? For the music, for all the intricate pieces of the bands. I've been around it for a really long time in multiple, positions. So it's really interesting to come full circle to now give the honor and the opportunity to be an auxiliary sponsor and at my alma mater at that. So, so that's my background with the bands. My day job, I work for the Department of Defense as a supply planner for the Department of Defense at the Air Force Base here. And I have a 5-year-old daughter. Her name is Rhea. She loves to come to practice with me and loves the dancers and the color guard. She thinks that they're going to still be there when she goes there, and she's going to perform with them. So they definitely have some little eyes always watching them. So that's my background. That's what I do in my day job. I also on the side do birth work. So I am a birth doula. I also assist women with lactation.
Get out of here.
Yes. So I had a really good birth story. And so I wanted other women to have the same experience and know that this is an option, that they can birth naturally, or even if they want to birth with medication and in the hospital, there's options that they often don't know are available that can allow them to have a more positive memory of their birth story, right? Because we don't forget those of us that are moms, we do not forget our birth stories.
Right.
They are an intricate part of who we are and really our connection with our children. So I do that on the side as well. And also support women with lactation. Again, if you know anything about that, it can be a tough time learning how to breastfeed or making that choice. So I love to educate moms on those options. Sometimes they just don't know. So those are some things that I'm passionate about. And also in the dance world, I really love to swing dance. So that's not HBCU dance, but it's still a style of dance that I can do all night. So that's a little bit about me.
Wow, that's exciting. Wow. My day job is also, I'm a contractor for DOD. So I think that's funny.
Yes.
We're both kind of in the same area in our full-time job. So one thing that anybody watching should get from this is that for most of us, we are part-time coaches. We're full-time coaches, but we are employed part-time to do so. Because we got full-time jobs doing other stuff. So how long have you been the coach at Langston?
I came on board right as we entered into COVID season. So I came on board about summer, band camp 2020.
Okay. Wow. So you're brand new.
Yes.
You are brand new. And so tell me a little bit about what some of maybe your fears were, or areas that you thought, because like you said, you came from cheerleading. So it's like, is there anything that scared you a little bit and was like, I don't know if I can do this, or, I don't know enough about this. What area is that?
Yeah. For one, even though I have experience, I'm a former feline, and I twirled the flag, I did not twirl the flag on a collegiate team, right? And so I know they have their own traditions, their own way of doing things. And even with me being a former feline, coming to now be the sponsor of the felines, it's been a few years, right? And so it's the challenge for me was I didn't want to my first thing is I wanted to uphold the foundation that the previous sponsors have built, right? Because outside looking in, I've seen some of the growths and the changes and the challenges, and I know the former sponsors did a lot of work to bring it to the point that they're currently at. And so my first thing is I wanted to maintain that. And so I was just wondering, like, what do I not know? How much has changed? And how do I make sure that I maintain that, but also add my own creative, spin on things that I'm hired to do, right? Also maintain a level of tradition, but also honoring the new way of doing things and, taking in the girls' perspective because they're the ones that's out there doing it. Mm-hmm. So just trying to mentally prepare to how to do all that, as well as just engage with a younger generation.
Yeah. So I'm assuming, would I be correct in saying that you think that learning or at least understanding the traditions that were there before you is like a must do for a new coach coming into any situation?
Oh yes, definitely, because people, your fans come for a product. Your fans are your fans for a reason, and so they're coming to see new things, but they're also coming to see something that they possibly seen before, because that's their, whether that's a traditional song or something, they're like, oh, I know they're going to do this, and this gets me hyped when they do this, whether that's the band, whether that's the flags, whether that's the dance team, so there's got to be some level of tradition there that I think should be respected.
Right, absolutely, and that's something that we really don't talk about a whole lot, because we're so busy talking about the tactical job of being a coach. And so we're talking about songs and choreography and technique and uniforms and money and fundraising, and then we don't talk about those soft things, that is how understanding the tradition of where you came from. Now were you given much latitude in terms of enhancing, the product, or were you held specifically like, this is what they expect and this is what I want you to do?
Oh, no, there's a definitely opportunity to bring some more creative expression and things like that. The band director is really open to that. So yeah, I wasn't held to just do a certain thing, not at all.
Well, that's good. And because some new coaches, and I will say, as a coach, one of the things that you have to do is make sure that you and the band director are on the same page, because at the end of the day, once complaints start rolling in, and complaints do roll in for the dance teams and the color guard, and the baton twirlers and the drum majors and why doesn't the band play this song anymore? And y'all didn't play it like we used to play it. And, oh my God. And whether, so once the complaints start rolling in, the band director is the one that's going to have to field all of that, and they've got to have your back. And so, as a new coach coming in, my suggestion is that, and I know you already know this, but to our audience, get on the same page with the band director, and understand and let them know, look, I'm going to try some new stuff. Yeah, we might keep this because, and then of course, Mr. Gordon knows about my issue. My issue was the doggone circle. And the first time that the Foxes did not do the circle, you would have thought that it was the end of the world. And it took a while for people to kind of understand that we live in a new era, and that you're not going to see the same thing over and over and over again, thanks to YouTube. You're just not. Social media has changed the game. For all of us in terms of what we do in our shows and what we do in our routines. And people just don't want to see the same stuff over and over and over again. But at the same time, we still, we have a certain duty to our alumni, and to our alumni and to our school and to our fans. And so one of the challenges that you're going to have is figuring out, how to mix, I want to
Yes.
pull in some of the new stuff, and then, I want to, test the waters here, but of course I still want to have
I
the
like this
tradition.
old thing here. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Had you thought of any unique or cool ways that you could do that, kind of mix the old with the new, or
Um, that's an ongoing process, really. It is. And to be honest, you know, the former sponsors, they help me out a lot, and they're always saying, like, you haven't really had a full season, just to really do everything because of COVID
yeah, that's
primarily,
true. Mhm.
and so that's been some of it, just having a full season to really have the opportunity to try out a lot of that stuff. And so a lot of the other 2 years, the former 2 years, I was doing a lot of learning, because I wanted to, learn what was working, what was not working, not just come in and change everything, but some of the captains that I've had, they've actually had some good ideas of, because I've kind of mentioned that from the beginning, like, I'm all about progression and new ideas, but I'm from this line, and so I also want something to be recognizable, right? And as we try to build a brand that we are recognizable, these teams that have, these big national names, you know that they're coming when you see them, because they have something that's similar every time. Something is, right? So you cannot wipe clean and be completely new team with every sponsor, with every captain, with every band director, right? Something has got to be recognizable. And so I was very clear in the beginning that, like, I do want to have some level of tradition. I do want to bring that back. So I've been fortunate enough to have captains that have honored that and have had ideas themselves, to kind of honor tradition. So I know, like, my first year, the captain, Kiana, she orchestrated a video shoot that we did, and she made sure we did, like, the old school buns and, old school uniform. Wasn't the same one, but it was one that we wore, traditionally through the years. And so we may not have worn that style through the season, we may not have worn that uniform very much through the season, but we have that video that we were able to post. And so it was a contribution to the season, that represents, the brands of Golden Feline, right? Or the tradition of Golden Feline. So just trying to think of ways like that, that way we can still incorporate, new things or new choreography, but sprinkles here and there where alumni or fans are gonna be like, well, I don't recognize that, oh, they remade that uniform, we wore that. It's not exactly the same, but it looks very similar, when you do that, I think when you do that, you get more alumni support, right? You get them to maybe interact more or show up more, and maybe even give more, right? Because they feel connected to what's still happening there.
Right. One of the things that I did was, we couldn't wear old uniforms for very long, because a lot of our uniforms had become souvenirs, and and we had to pretty much start from scratch. But every year we try to we don't recreate an old iconic uniform in its exact form, but we do like a reference to one of the old uniforms, whether it's in color or design or something like that, that when alumni looks at it, they're like, oh, yeah, okay, I see where you got that from. So that's a real simple way to to kind of sprinkle that tradition in there while still being doing new things.
Right.
But you made a really good segue to another question, which is, how have you, I know that being a Golden Feline dancer has made life easier for you. Now I can tell you what my existence for the last 10 years has been like, but how was it, getting along with alumni and kind of forging that relationship with alumni?
You mean as sponsor?
As sponsor, yeah.
Well, I would say that because I know several alumni, and the former two sponsors there's been sponsors that were not alum, but I would say the most active or the longest lasting, most recent sponsors are also alum that I know personally. So I've had their tremendous support, as well as any other alum. I think they're happy to see an alum in the position. And I think they know that I'm gonna make sure that it's, I guess, branded in a good way, right? And so I've had great alumni support.
Good for you. I mean, it was mixed reactions when I came on board, because I'm not an alumni of the organization. I am an alumnus of the SWAC. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I really don't know. But one of the things that I found was being able to connect with them through common experiences, and that helped quite a bit. And it's just for anyone who may move into a situation where they aren't the alumnus of wherever it is that they're coaching. I had to find some common ground. And one of the first ways that I was able to do that was to kind of let them know that I had gone through the exact same experience that they were going through at the time that I came on board. When I came on board, they had 1 year with a coach. And prior to that is when Dr. Shara was still there. She was the creator of the Black Foxes, and she was still there. And then she left, and then there was another coach, and then I came along, right? When I danced at Southern University, I went through the exact same thing. The creator of the Dancing Dolls retired in 84, after the 84 season. 85, we didn't have a coach. 85, we had a student director. So it was a doll that chose to not dance, and she became like our coordinator. And then we got a brand new advisor and a choreographer, 2 new people, an advisor and a choreographer, my second year on the team. Okay. And man, let me tell you, the advisor worked at Southern. The choreographer, she's from Louisiana. She was not from the HBCU realm at all.
Interesting.
She was not having it. She didn't care. She came in there, boy, on the very first day. She came in on the first day and she laid down the law. I mean, she was just like, and I don't care. And I don't care who you are. I don't care who your parents are. I don't care who your teachers are. I'm here to do a job. And y'all not going to stop me from doing my job. And you're going to listen to what I have to say. And if you don't want, boy, she came in and she just, oh my goodness, she ran it down. And we were all sitting there like, and after we got out of shock, after we came out of shock, it was great. It was awesome. Like we had the best time with her, and it was hard because she came in and she changed the whole style. She changed the whole style of dolls. And when we did our first dance under her, we had people that were kind of looking at us like,
what's that?
What was that that you were doing? And we were like, don't worry. But over time they came to love it, and it was the beginning of the change for the Dancing Dolls. And I always recount that story to some of the Foxes, and the Foxes that were here 10 years ago. Oh God, I can't believe it's 10 years. Okay, but 10 years ago, I just get emotional every time I say that, like 10 years ago. But I had to, tell them that story. And that was a way of having some common ground and building some trust between myself and them, because, they didn't have to trust me. I would venture to say when I first got here, they didn't, but that was the way that I chose to go about it, just to let them know, is that I understand how you feel and I understand what you're going through. And so over the years, it's gone pretty well. I'm proud family now, so
that's good. And that can be challenging. That can be challenging to find that common ground when it's a different generation.
Right.
I've experienced that, even though I don't feel that old, but they see me, at least some of them, I feel like see me as that, like, oh, you danced so long ago, and I will acknowledge that things are different, but it's just getting them to sometimes some students to see, like, I know what you're going through, like the band culture is the band culture, right?
Right. It is.
I get it, I get it. So.
Right. Yeah. And we do get it. And I have spoken with coaches who have not come from the HBCU tradition, and they've had to make extra effort to try and understand the history of where they are, the culture of where they are. And it's not to say that it's going to change what you do artistically, but having that, having that understanding helps you build that trust, and the trust goes not just with the team that you're coaching, but it also goes with the alumni, and it goes with the fans, and it just takes you a long way as a coach. And don't get me wrong, there's some people, like I said, they don't give a hoot what you or anybody else thinks. But wouldn't it be nice if everybody could just get along?
So nice. Yes.
I mean, that would be cool. I don't think I could work somewhere and just be this, somebody complaining all the time about, what I'm doing or what direction I'm going in or all that kind of stuff. So, but at the end of the day, we have to remember, and I'm going back to point A, is always be on the same page with your band director. You have to, because they're the ones that are going to have to speak up for you. And if you're not on the same page, then that can be a disaster. Yeah. So what about, what have been some of the best parts of, and I know you haven't had like a real, last year was your first real season. Right. Yeah. So what were some of the best, the best parts or the most fun parts?
Oh, the best parts. I'm always proud of what they end up coming up with, right? So whether that's the captain or whether that's a collaborative effort in terms of choreography, I love to see the final result, right? They put in the long hours of practice. So it's always good, especially if you have those dancers that may be struggling, and then you get to see them execute, right? That's always really good to see. You kind of feel like a proud mom on the sidelines, like, yes. Another big moment is when you maybe there was a dancer that wasn't the strongest, but made the team, right? And you can see them progress, right? And it's always my goal that if someone makes a team with maybe a higher level of potential, that they fulfill that potential through the year, so that when they audition again, they're not making the team on potential, they're making the team as a veteran, right? That they look like one. Right. And I've had some dancers like that they look completely different when they tried out this season. That just makes my heart so happy that it worked for them, right? It doesn't always work for everybody. Some people, when they try out the second time, they still look like the first time and it didn't work for them. But some people, it works, and they weren't a lost cause and it worked for them. I know that's not ideal. Of course, you want everyone, to be able to do all the things and you just have a team full of amazing technical dancers, right? But that's not always the case, right? And historically, a lot of Black young girls don't get to grow up doing dance, in the studio, right? And so I respect that, and I take that in consideration. You can kind of see people who have the heart for it, can work for it, can pick up on things quickly, and so they may deserve that opportunity. And I've had some girls that one in particular that just has blown me away. So those are always proud moments, for sure. And then anytime we do any like first time, like we went to Mardi Gras for the first time. So that was an amazing opportunity, a lot of work, a lot of sweat feet for everybody involved, but it was still a great opportunity for the university. I had never been to Mardi Gras personally, so that was a cool experience. So being able to recruit for the band, I didn't know that I would even do that in this position, but I'm recruiting from my alma mater as well as my teams, right? And so that's kind of cool to do. And then it's just, it's a love-hate relationship that I'm being stretched in a lot of ways, because of the, primarily I would say just learning how to build that trust and integrate with a different generation, right? You don't realize that you're, I guess, as old as you are until you have to encounter people that are much younger. And not only are they younger, it just really shows how much things have changed, right? How the dance world has changed, how they communicate, what they are maybe sensitive to and what they're not, what they can handle, what they cannot, what they are used to, what they're not, you know? So just trying to find that balance of what you know that works and what it's almost like children. You may know that this is effective, but you may get another kid that's just not effective. And so you've got to learn another approach for that kid, because maybe that kid just doesn't respond that way. It doesn't learn that way. And so that's, you kind of have to do that with all these different personalities. That's a whole interesting thing. So that's a challenge, but also I listed it as a highlight because it's a growing point for me. It's as painful as it can be at times. I should definitely walk away with a new skill after all this is said and done. So
let me tell you. And the thing about it is, just within the 10 years, you know, which relatively speaking is not that long. I feel like I've gone through 3 different generations of person. They have changed so rapidly, in the way that they communicate, in the things that they find important. And dealing with a huge sense of entitlement with right,
that's a big word. Yes,
huge sense of entitlement, and trying to get them to understand that there are certain things that are going to be old school in the way that I deal with them. I'm not changing. I'm not because now there are some things that I bend on. There are some things that I accept their input. And I say, you know what, you're right. That's better. I think we should do that. But some things, when you're on a band staff and you're moving 300 to 400 people from point A to point B, you need discipline. And you need our kind of discipline. You need discipline.
That's why I think that's why we did that, so that we can get this many people to be on one accord in 2 weeks, right? In a band kept setting, you know.
You need discipline, and those things are non-negotiable. And it's just like, I have caught myself saying so many times, look, there are other dance teams on campus that are not as strict, and feel free to go to them. But if you're going to be on this team, this is how it's going to go. And you have to, you have to kind of stand your ground, because they will come up to you and they'll slide up. Ooh, Miss Franklin, let me tell you. Oh, and see what had happened was, no. So and you know how we are, because we get attached to them, and we want to, we want to make them happy, and we want, and sometimes that's just the hardest thing in the world for me. Sometimes is to say no, but you do have to learn to say no. It's, especially like I said, with that band director behind you and who is supporting you, you have to say no. You have to say no a lot.
Because if
And
you don't, I've experienced this, because if you give too much grace, because you're just trying to be understanding, and then when you do say no, when it's kind of piled up, you do say no, it could be too late, or the culture could be so embedded that when you do say no, they don't respect it. They can't process the no, right? Because they've been given so much grace for so long that they're like, well, I've never encountered this before from you, you know. And you could say it in the most gentle way, but because it's something new, so from the beginning, it's definitely important.
I mean, you said that perfectly. You know, it gets embedded, and then sometimes, and what I had people do was, you know, they would go and tell some of the other girls, look, if you go up to Miss Shawn like this, and you say this, she'll give you what you want, you know, like, so they would egg each other on. And I'm just like, no, that's not, I had to learn.
It's gonna go down. Okay.
And that's not how it's gonna go down. I had to learn the hard way though. I had to learn what they were doing. And of course, Dr. Zachary would be like, he would stand over the side like this. I told you. I was like, you know, so just being, you know, people, and they don't mean it from a mean place. Like every once in a while, you might get a couple of people on your teams who are just bad news. You will. I would love to think that everybody's just hunky-dory, lovey, but they're not. Some people are just not. And they come up and they'll want to stir up trouble. But a lot of people are just going to go for what they can go for. And they're not mean, and I still love them. Yeah. You know, but they just gonna try and get what they can get. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And they're gonna try you. They're gonna try you as a coach, especially that's that entitlement. Coach. Yeah. Especially as a new coach, they are going to try you. And so, you know, you have to do whatever it is that you got to do. You just got to, you know, if you got to do your exercises and all that, you know, and crack your neck and everything. And it's like, I'm saying no, and I mean no. Yeah, you're right about that. It sounds funny, but you are so right, because you do kind of have to mentally prepare yourself, because if you don't, like you said, when you don't see it coming, they can put you in those traps, kind of like what you mentioned from your own experience, because you don't foresee that, right? Especially if that's something that you maybe that's not the culture when you danced, or that wasn't what you did when you danced, or you haven't seen that along the way. You may not see that coming, right? Because again, that new generation. So it can kind of, because I've had those experiences where I'm like, I did not see that coming, or I'm baffled by their response to this, because we would never, you know. But again, it's such a new generation. Channel, so that you'll be notified whenever we have our little mini cast. And also, if you can click the like button, I don't know, they says that if clicking the like button is magic. I don't know what that means, but anyway, if you can click the like button and subscribe to the channel, we would surely appreciate it. So yeah, that is, and I would say, Raniesha, that is one of the most challenging parts of being a new coach, because you want to be effective and you want to be liked, and that was the thing that my coach, when I danced, she had no time for that. She didn't care. And she told us, she came right on in there and was like, look, I got, you know, awards for all the choreography, because she had choreographed for movies and stuff. And she was like, I got awards. Oh yeah, she didn't care about that. Come in here and play around with y'all, you know. And we were just like, you know. But the last thing I want to say is, and I think this is really important for new coaches on any level, color guard, twirlers, community team, high school, you have to know your why, and you have to to know why you're doing it, and don't confuse. Our teams get a lot of notoriety. Even the small ones do, from the small schools. We get a lot of notoriety. And what I'm noticing too is that it's starting to spread over into color guard. Because there was a time when they were not getting as much exposure.
I tell my girls all the time, it takes one video to go viral on both teams.
One. And then I would also have to give Golden Delight some credit for that as well. That they have mastered the combined dance team color guard thing. And it has, in doing that, it has exposed more people to even what the discipline is, right? So now when they see the videos and stuff, they're like, okay, I know what that is, right? But I think coaches have to be really careful that it is not about us, and don't get me wrong, we're going to get our shine, and we're going to, and some of us will run away from it, but some of us will run to it, and it can cause a conflict of interest. We have to realize that our job is to coach these young ladies. And like I said, 70-30, 70%, 30% coaching, 70% other stuff, 70% other stuff. And, you're going to be so busy doing that 70% other stuff that you should be, or something's not right. And it is not about, it's not about us. It is about them. And it is about, one, making sure that they are 100% doing what they are supposed to do in their role, which is represent the university, or represent the high school, represent the team.
Right.
And it is about making sure that they become whole, productive young adults.
Yeah.
This is their venue. They get to see us before they go off into the world. And we are the last ones on the collegiate level. We are the last ones, and to see them and to talk to them and to mentor them. And we can either do something really good, or we can do something really bad, So we have to know our why. Have to know the why. And if the why is because I want to be popular,
too much work for that alone. Yeah.
This might not be the job for you.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's my parting gift. My parting gift right there. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Yes, and I could add a parting note as well, if you don't mind. Mine would be for the new coaches out there. Definitely find your why, like Ms. Shawn said. That will propel you when things get hard, because they will. It's a huge learning curve, whether you came from the team or not, whether you came from a different team, or you could be an amazing dancer, but you never dance this particular team, right? So it's a learning curve for everybody. But with that, I would also recommend, which is why I think the HBCU Directors, Dance and Auxiliary Directors Association is so good, is I think it's important that you get a support system.
Yes.
So definitely have a great relationship with your band director or your high school band director. But it's also good just to have a network of support, right? Whether that's the former sponsors at your school, shout out to Ms. Taylor and Ms. Lydia, who helped me tremendously at my school, or whether it's a network of HBCU coaches at different universities, because even though we're not at the same school, we do have a lot of the similar experiences, right? We talk about this in our coaches corner at our conferences. And when you're brainstorming and talking about it, you realize like you're not alone. Actually, even some of whether they're big name school, small name school, a lot of us have the exact same challenges. And it may be that a coach has, found something that's working in that challenge, right? Or found an avenue that you just haven't identified yet, or turned over a stone that you just maybe haven't yet. Or maybe they, encountered the same challenge with their team, right? With that generation the previous year. And they say, well, you know what? I tried this and this worked. So, just sharing, right? And it's not that you have to emulate everything that they're doing. Definitely put your own spin on things, but it's great to not have to reinvent the wheel. It's just not necessary. That's your opportunity to work smarter and not harder. So definitely get you a network of support, whether that's alum, former sponsors, other HBCU coaches. Again, it's not a competition like we talk about at the conference. It's not a competition. When we're off that field, it's not a competition at all. We're just there to lift each other up and just really to expand and to cultivate the longevity of the brand that is HBCU dance, right?
Yes.
And so we're all in this together. I'm making sure this is a long-lasting art, long-lasting type of dance. It's growing so much more with the different majorette teams, that are looking up to these schools. And so it's not going anywhere. And so
right. And we have to protect it.
We have to protect it.
Yes.
Right. And so having a network of people that can have your back when things get hard, because let me tell you, it can get challenging. And yes, and we're not doing it for the money. We're doing it for that why. Like Ms. Shawn said, this is not our full-time job, although it sometimes feels like it. It's definitely not the job that pays the bills. And so we're definitely doing it because there is a why. There's some level of passion behind there. So let that propel you, but also don't suffer in silence, and try to get you some support along the way.
I tell you, you summed it up beautifully, better than I could. I'm going to go back and repost that as a clip like that. That's awesome. I mean, and it leads right into what I'm having to say. If you are interested, we hope that you are interested in joining us in the National HBCU Auxiliary and Dance Directors Association, or HBCUADD for short. Please go to, I'm going to update my YouTube page with our link to our registration form, our membership form, but we have a link to our membership form off of our Instagram page, which is at hbcu.aux.dance.directors. And it's on Instagram. And if you go into our bio, the link for the membership page is there, or you can email me at hbcuadd@gmail.com, and you can email me, and if you have any questions. But we really hope that you'll join us. And like Raniesha said, this is a support system like none other. I think that we have to be here for one another. It's imperative in the era that we are in of entertainment and social media, that we need to be here for one another to make sure that we can protect the genre and protect the culture, and educate people about the culture. That's what I find that we end up being the curators, because there's a lot of people who just don't know.
And that makes me want to send another shout out to the HBCU dance documentary. You guys should go and follow that.
Yes, absolutely.
Page on Instagram. They're doing a lot of good work in terms of really cultivating and gathering the history of the HBCU dance culture. They have a lot of good ideas in terms of putting that out there to the public so they can see it on a bigger stage of, that this is indeed a style of dance that has existed for a long time. And this is what we're doing to maintain it. And what exactly is it, right? And just doing a good job of defining it, and just really celebrating the art that, has just grown so much, right? This is I would say $1 million business for a lot of people, right? A lot of people have made this their livelihood, right? Look at the star dancers, whether that be an HBCU team or a community team coach, or, maybe even some HBCU coaches. It has really become like people's bread and butter, HBCU dance has, right? So It's bigger than a lot of people may give credit to. And I think it's, you know, it should be celebrated and more people should learn about it. So definitely follow HBCU Dance Documentary and check out all the cool things they're doing over there.
That's right. Miss LaQuinda Grimes. She's the person
Yeah.
behind that, and she's on Instagram. And that's HBCU Dance Documentary, or it's either HBCU Dance Line Documentary or
Let me look real quick.
HBCU Dance Documentary, one of the two.
Yeah.
But
Yes, it's HBCU Dance Line Documentary.
that's right.
The
On
Black
Instagram.
Sequence Project. Yes.
She's done some great work. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. And again, if there are any questions, you can always send an email to hbcuadd@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Instagram or on our Facebook page. We do have a Facebook page as well. So Raniesha, thank you again for joining.
Thank you for having me.
I will see you at the next members meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So thanks everybody, and y'all have a good evening.
Yes. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Thank y'all.
Shawnee has